Hey, how's it going? I'm Dan Fredenberg, and this is another Chance Encounter. Hey, what's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg. I'm a commercial real estate guy. I'm from the internet. We're seeing more properties like this being built in front of a house. It's going to be torn down soon. I understand that there are power lines that are getting kind of close. What's up again? This is Dan Fredenberg, and that there is a commercial real estate building. I'm joined today with Naeem, and it's Farokhnia.
Close enough. Yeah.
Close enough. How would you pronounce it?
Farokhnia.
Farokhnia. Okay, cool. Awesome. And I got some great news for you, Naeem. I don't know if you're aware of this, but today we are actually joined by my very favorite member of the audience. And why is my favorite audience member here? Well, obviously, it's because it's a chance encounter where I interview commercial real estate deal sponsors, investors, buyers, sellers, all that sort of thing. And you may ask yourself, why would anybody want to do that? And the answer is, if you've heard of off-market deals, which are private deals that you're not allowed to publicly discuss, you'll know that the reason for that is because the SEC requires you have documentation of your prior substantive relationship, or else they'll get ants in their pants, especially if you're doing the 506B exemption, those private syndications. And so that's what we're up to right here. And the benefit to you for watching is you'll learn how to more effectively communicate on the subject of a commercial real estate deal, and you'll understand how my guest fits into those deals. But before we get too excited about real estate, Naeem, do you want to say a thing or two about yourself?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here. My name is Naeem. I have an engineering background and then got into real estate about 6 years ago, into property management, and then decided instead of managing someone else's property, I should manage my own properties. That's better.
Mm-hmm.
So then I got into multifamily industry, and then I learned that I don't even need to manage my own properties. I can hire someone to manage my own properties, which is even better. So that's where I am right now. I'm the founder of the Multifamily Capital. We purchase multifamily properties in emerging markets. And then, yeah, happy to chat if you have any more questions. I'm present in LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Yeah, always happy to network and learn. And
Sweet.
yeah.
Sweet. Okay, so we'll get to that more specifically in a minute. So let me just go ahead and share my screen here. There we go. Cool. And it fits pretty well on there as well. So we always do the 5 distinct motivations. But before that, I got to say, but wait, check your 8. Naeem, I don't know if you know how to do this or not, but maybe you can see through the camera and down into the user's device. There might be this big, hideous subscribe button in there, and maybe they should do something about. Okay,
Yes, yeah, for sure. Yeah, subscribe into this channel. Anything like YouTube, Spotify, podcast, anything available, just go like, subscribe, follow, leave a comment, like. Yeah.
Exactly. I love it. Thanks. So let's go to the 5 distinct motivations. I know that I'm cutting off the top of the screen a little bit here. I'm going to roll with it for a little bit, but I've now interviewed literally hundreds of different commercial real estate players, and I've met hundreds more on top of that. And everybody has their own unique reason why they're involved in commercial real estate. And the reason why it's relevant to other real estate people is we need to know what exactly is going to keep somebody from throwing in the towel. Because after all, these deals take months to close. They take years to go full cycle. So there has to be something there just to make sure that you're going to follow through on your commitments. The first one of which is preservation of purchasing power. Now, one thing that I know is out there, and it doesn't apply to me personally. Some people, they are job optional. They don't have to have a W-2. The way that they pay their bills is from the proceeds of ownership. In other words, the profits of what they own. If you're in that situation, there aren't a whole lot of motivations to make another acquisition and take on the headaches and whatever that come along with it. But if inflation is rearing its ugly head, it's going to eat away from the purchasing power of your cash flow. So it's going to be time to make a new acquisition. The other time, which a lot of people use to describe the present moment right now here in 2024, is that when there is a steep discount based on because of distress. Basically, like interest rates have been the story of the last couple of years. The increases have really affected real estate, making some much lower valuations than a couple of years ago. And when you are in this position of preserving your purchasing power, you don't have to make acquisitions all the time. So there has to be an extra reason, like a steep discount. Now, of course, everybody should try to buy at the steepest discount they can, but I'm just emphasizing it here for this group because they don't have to pull the trigger every 10 seconds, so to speak. Now, I'm not that far in my commercial real estate journey. What describes me more accurately is trading time directly for wealth. What's that all about? I've got a background in technology, and when you're in technology, you're always seeking for bigger wage, bigger salary, all that kind of stuff. And as a high wage, high income earner, you've got a bigger tax burden than anybody else. Now, me personally, I was on the CRM side, so that's the online assets and different online business funnels, including mass emailing. We're talking 5 to 7 million emails a month. We're talking millions of dollars in revenue every single year, like clockwork. But what hit me is as I started to do that online work for a real estate company, specifically one in Cleveland, and he was flipping 10 houses a month for years before he hired me. And I looked at what he was up to. He was making way more money than I was, and I saw the tax advantages, and I was like, I need to pivot so that I'm doing more of that and less than this. I like to call it I was on the wrong side of the right business. But I also get that that's a little abstract, especially for youngsters. Frequently, youngsters are more interested in hustling like crazy right now so that they could fast track their retirement or just basically control their own schedule. That's something that goes across all generations. People are interested in being able to go and spend time with their family or their kids or something like that and not have to book a day off months in advance. That makes lots of sense. But one of the pitfalls of this being a common motivation, this fast tracking retirement, this regaining your schedule, is that some people think that's everybody. And I assure you, some people are not interested in retiring one little bit. They're fueled by ambition. They want to buy their entire hometown. They're after that generational wealth. They want to make sure that their great grandchildren never have to hold a day job. And that's why they're going to hustle into their 90s. Now, I know that that's vilified in some circles, but the fact is, if you want somebody who's actually going to take care of the property, you need somebody who's motivated to do it even past retirement age. So that's why these guys are great to have on your GP team. But the last category of these 5 different distinct motivations, it's not so much the person's own legacy or generational wealth. They've picked a sector of society. Maybe it's animals, maybe it's the environment. Who knows what it is? But they figured out that there's a financial component to really making a big difference and a big impact, and that's why they're making their acquisitions. So, Naeem, of these 5 different motivations, what combination of them really stood out? What do you think describes you best?
I think I can relate to the ambition a little bit. I really don't want to work, but I want to enjoy what I'm doing. So I don't want to see like real estate or anything else that I do as a work, as I want to see them as like a hobby, something that I enjoy. I do believe that like there is no retirement. You should just keep going that as long as there are a lot of problems, pain in the humanity and society. Um, so also I do enjoy the being having the freedom, being my own boss, don't have to report to anyone else like a W2. I am coming from technology background too. I'm an engineer, and then but I really like to have the freedom. Yeah. So
Hmm.
entrepreneurship is not just being your own business. It comes with a lot of other benefits, like learning about psychology, human business, marketing, sales, customer service, technology, product. Is just wearing a lot of hats that help you in every aspect of your life. Just makes you like a superhuman. You know a lot that yeah, it's really invaluable. So for me, personal growth is very important, just to learning as much as possible. Of course, the financial side is also very important. That's something that I really need to work on it more. But yeah,
Hmm. Hmm. I love it. I love it. And of course, the next section that I have here, the next segment, it's the tolerance for risk assessment, which is kind of funny to do immediately after the motivations because you get this warm, woolly feeling, and then it's like, oh, but let's talk about risks for a second. It's a little bit of a splash of cold water in the face. Now, every business has risks, and real estate is one of the most mature ones out there. So it's absolutely no different. And if you've ever been involved in an off market deal, these 506B syndications, whoever the securities attorney in the mix was, and there better have been one because you have to file with the SEC. So if there wasn't one, you need to run. It's very, very bad. But the SEC, the securities attorney who works with the SEC for on your behalf, they should have insisted that everybody fills out this heavily invasive financial questionnaire, sometimes called a suitability questionnaire. And it's got all kinds of questions that are uncomfortable to answer, like what's your net worth? How long have you been investing in this and that and the other thing? But one question in particular jumped out to me, which was the tolerance for risk assessment question. It jumped out to me because I've made so many tests and quizzes and stuff like that over the years that I felt that the question itself and the multiple choice responses, they lacked utility. I couldn't really use the answers for anything reliable, so I made my own one, which is a fill in the blanks question. It is. There are many popular investment asset classes, but I think blank is too risky. So, Naeem, it can be inside real estate, it can be outside real estate, it can be both if you want. What's too risky for you to invest in?
startups,
Startups. Yep. Yep.
9 out of 10, optimistically, they are going to fail. I think 99 out of 100, they fail, and then they fail big time.
Mm-hmm.
So most
Yep.
likely you're going to lose your money. Yeah.
Yep, I love that. And as an engineer, it brings up another side, like the side that I'm all used to, which is just like, okay, who's actually going to promote it? Who's actually going to do this? Who's actually going to do that? Like all these different things, all too frequently it's people with no real experience, and it's really, really scary. So I love that answer. So the next segment though, it's the favorite deal metrics. And if I'm talking to an engineer, I know that's going to be totally easy peasy, but I know that there are some people out there who are, the pretty face, the PR, the marketing person, yeah, the person in the front of the house. And they're not going to be real spreadsheet junkies. They're not going to be doing in-depth analysis of the deals. And that is actually why for the first few hundred chance encounters, I didn't include this slide, even though I really, really wanted to. Because at the end of the day, I'm aware that you're probably going to want to contact some of my guests for some of your own deals. Probably if it's a 506B, make sure you have that documentation or substantive relationship before you do. But even if you are the pretty face, the front of house person, you're still going to have some numbers that you hone in on to emphasize the qualities of the deal. And so that's why I have this slide in here now. Now I have 14 different metrics, and I'll get rid of this other frame here so you can see it a little bit better. And for anybody in the audience who's listening and not watching, I'm going to read these out. Now, of course, they're fairly multifamily leaning, but across commercial real estate, there are lots of commonalities. The first one on the list is cash on cash, then IRR, which is internal rate of return, then there's cost per door, then there's net operating income of the property, the NOI, then there's the going in cap rate, which is really a back of envelope way to show how much of a discount you're actually buying at compared to properties in that area. Then there's the loan interest rate, which is especially important if you're going to be assuming a loan. There's the occupancy rate, which is the inverse of the vacancy rate, but it's the same thing. then average income where the property is located, the amortization period of the loan, the difference between the market and in-place rents, the population growth where the property is located, the sponsor record, and that means how many deals have already gone full cycle, how many deals are on the go right now. Then there's the waterfall split or exit strategy, which means what happens to your investment after your capital has been returned. And then I have DSCR, which is debt service coverage ratio, which is how much of the revenue from rents and amenities go out the door immediately just in the form of the loan. Now, again, it's not exhaustive. So Naeem, if there are other metrics that you rely on, feel free to use those, but you want to give a top three or something like that?
Sure. I think I like to know about the market, like population growth, job growth, how many employers, is there any new employer coming into town? About the property itself, I think the SCR, cash on cash, and cap rate, they are the main factors. Yeah.
I love that answer, and I'm gonna have to do some fast clicking here to go like this. There we go, because I'm eating up that answer just like a delicious subscribe sandwich. That's very, very subtle, wasn't it, Naeem? But that's my reminder to pull out the Dan Does Deals Commercial Core Competency Cube with the 6 different roles in a commercial real estate deal. Sure, it is leaning more towards multifamily, but you'll still see lots of commonalities with other forms of commercial real estate. But the real idea behind this cube is it's the linchpin in you being able to more effectively communicate on the subject of commercial real estate deals. And if you are going to pursue commercial real estate as part of your career or your investment strategy, your success is going to depend on your ability to effectively communicate. So that's why I go through it in every episode. And if you look at this cube and say, hey, I could really use one of those, you can go to dandoesdeals.com. It's absolutely free. There's this great big button you can click on. It goes straight to the PDF and you can print it out. And that's right. I just admitted that I'm guilty of committing the cardinal sin of marketing, which is you should never give away your freebie without asking for some sort of contact information, like an email address or something like that. But I want to make sure that you have nothing in your way from printing this out and practicing it on your friends and family so that you get better at this. So let's get started. The first role is the repositioner. These are the most visible people in commercial real estate because they're looking at a whole whack of different deals. They're curators of deals. They're doing a whole whack of paperwork. In other words, they're underwriting the deal. They're doing the math to figure out, first of all, is this property even making the amount of money that the seller / broker is claiming it is? Because okay, so the repositioner's job is to find out what's going on right now, but they won't jump on an acquisition unless they've got some sort of idea on how they're going to find more upside than there is right now. And the most peculiar part of being a repositioner, I think, is that you have to have a vast network of financiers. Those are not people on the GP team. These are people who only deal with the owners, with money, and with paper. That's it. So these financiers have to be in a repositioner's network, because if the repositioners can secure a more advantageous loan, the property's automatically more profitable than it was. So seeking out cheaper money is always part of a commercial real estate repositioner's job. But of course, the more typical place that a repositioner is going to find their upside is by looking at the operations, figuring out where those Benjamins are going down the toilets, and then making things run more efficiently. Naeem already mentioned that that is one of his main focuses in the past, which is fantastic. And if you know about me, I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm from the internet. So that means if I'm going to be contributing to operations on a GP team like I have in the past, I need to have some major contribution. And those would be web-based assets. And the other one is understanding that even if you are looking at bigger properties, which is what I've done in the past, and you're going to be outsourcing your property management to a third party, you have to understand that vacancy is the real enemy in commercial real estate. So somebody on the GP team needs to have some serious marketing chops to make sure that if the property management team can't fill those units, you can step in and get those units filled. So that's where I contribute. But there's only so much you can do with operations, and there's more to it than just unclogging toilets and all that, as I've mentioned from the marketing standpoint. But so the next place that the repositioner is going to look is to get a contractor team involved to upgrade the property. Because if you make it nicer, in theory, the next resident should be more than happy to pay more in rent than the previous ones. And that is your baked in upside. So if only things were that easy, though, you could go ahead and gold plate all the toilets and you're not going to get a return on investment. So that's no good. And if you're like me and from the internet, the way you make sure that the contractors are sticking to schedule and they're not using subpar materials is you have to have a local. You have to have boots on the ground who can be there in an hour or two, because that's not going to be me. I'd still be stuck at an airport in an hour or two. So you need that local involved to keep an eye on the contractors, keep an eye on the operations, and that sort of thing. Now, there's only one more side on the cube, and to explain that, I'm going to do a little bit of a hypothetical with you as the example. Let's say you're also an engineer, or maybe you're a physician or an attorney or something like that. Maybe you bought a rental or two in the past, and you realize, really all I need to have is a good enough credit rating, a big enough deposit, and then I just borrow the rest. Well, if you and your friends decide to turn around to the financiers and say, hey, I just went to my circle of friends, we each threw in 100K each or something like that, and we want to buy that apartment complex over there that's 350 units and tens of millions of dollars. Do you guys have, I don't know, say tens of millions of dollars you want to say lend us? Well, you're in for a shock if you go through that little scenario, because the financier's next question is going to be, who's the sponsor? Who's the KP? What's that all about? Now, if you're in some sort of mentorship program or you've got a guru, I encourage you to listen very carefully to this part. The lenders, these financiers, at the end of the day, they're frequently lending out depositor dollars. And so they need to make sure that you're not going to take all those depositor dollars, make an acquisition, run the place into the ground, and make it so that principal is non-recoverable. So they're going to insist that somebody in the fold already owns a similar asset. So that means if you want to take over that hypothetical 350 unit apartment complex, somebody in the fold has to already own a 350 unit apartment complex, or you're not going to be eligible for the loan. On top of that, you need a certain amount of liquidity, and then among the GP team, you need a balance sheet of at least the amount of the loan for collateral. But if you have all those pieces, you got yourself a commercial real estate deal. So Naeem, you already mentioned the operator piece of the puzzle. I'm sure that you have some sort of repositioner roles in figuring out how to change the property, but are those the boxes you're going to check, or is it going to be a little bit different on your next deal?
For sure. I think asset managers, especially property managers, they are the most important factor. They can make or break the deal. Yeah. They can literally, you can hire a wrong property manager, you can all go out of business. Or you could hire a right property manager with big return. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So let's talk about the buy box then. And when real estate people are asking each other, hey, what you looking for? We're asking for three things. First one's location. Where is it? It's the geography, which state, which county, possibly even which neighborhood. It's going to matter before you call it ideal. The second one's size. In multifamily, that the way that you define size is by the number of apartment units. And the reason why it's relevant is because the type of team that takes over 10 unit apartment complexes will be fundamentally different from the ones that are taking over 150 unit apartment complexes. So that size is definitely going to matter. There are other forms of commercial real estate that go off of square footage or acreage, but the size factor, it still applies. Now, the third one is usually called class. I prefer the term desirability because it's actually multiple. It's actually two different factors, which I break down into condition and area. If you're talking about condition, we're talking about how old is the building, how beat up is the building, what sort of luxuries and amenities are there that make it a more desirable place to live. That's the condition. Whereas the area, if we're talking about residential like multifamily, then the school districts are going to be relevant, but every type of real estate is going to have a value that depends also on the crime rate where the property is located. And then the other one is the old trope that brokers say of location, location, location. But what they really mean is traffic, traffic, traffic. They mean if a gazillion people pass by that property every single day, it's going to be more desirable. But both the area and the condition are ranked the same way as in grade school, where you have A plus at the top, and then A minus, then B plus, and so on. So Naeem, as far as your future acquisitions, what's the easiest to say yes to?
I would say emerging markets, not primary but secondary. So we are going to hold like between 3 to 5 years. Anything that gives me impression of a growth in 5 years from now, that's going to work. Not major cities like Dallas or Miami. A lot of cities in Oklahoma, Kansas, they're going to do the job. Yeah.
Mhm. I love it. I love it. So then let's talk about people. And full disclosure, everybody in this industry is ultimately in the business of deploying capital. So everybody's eager to meet financiers. But even though we all have our own unique skill sets, I find that we are all so eager to build new teams, make referrals. The most amazing thing about commercial real estate, especially compared to tech, in my experience. It's just the community is so eager to help people out, build new teams, and all that sort of thing. But because of your unique skill set, you're going to be more helpful to some people more than others. Traditionally, it's been the sponsors and KPs who I'm most eager to speak to just because of my technical background and the amount of experience I already have in this space. Whereas when you're first starting out as a local or a repositioner, you need grunts who can put in 90 to 120 hours a week. And that's not how I'm at my best. So that's not really a way that I can make a disproportionately large impact. So the sponsors and KPs I'm eager to speak to, especially since I've got a strategic partnership with a debt fund now. But Naeem, if you have any 506B deals, don't go and mention them specifically, especially if you ask for investors. But who's out there in the audience that you can help most?
What do you mean?
Which one of the roles are on the cube where you need a lot more of them? Is it financiers? Is it more locals? Is it more deal sponsors? Who's out there that you can help the most?
I think like capital,
The
capital, yeah.
financiers. Yep.
Financiers. Yeah, I'm looking for capital. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Excellent. So then people must be thinking, how on earth do I reach out? And me personally, I'm fortunate enough to have this really distinct last name, which makes it really easy to find me online. And if you want, you can also check out Amazon.com. You type in my name. I have a few different books available that are very reasonably priced, and they're on different business skill building related subjects. But if you are going to be raising capital, if you're going to be starting up a business or something like that, and you're looking to take passive investors, I highly encourage you to learn the law as it relates to that sort of thing. And in a couple different spots, I got these little QR codes on the video. You can pause it for a second. That code brings you to the FAQs page of 506 BME, which explains all of the backup and maintenance of your documentation services that we offer at 506 BME. The idea being is that if your laptop falls into the bathtub, the SEC is still going to require that you come up with documentation of your substantive relationships, or they could take your business. So that's what that's all about. But Naeem, you already mentioned LinkedIn is a great way to reach out. Same with me. You want people to contact you through LinkedIn or
Yeah,
email,
mention
phone?
that you are interested in multifamily business. Tell me a little bit of your background and what you are looking for, so I know, because I get a lot of messages on LinkedIn. So I want to distinguish between you and anyone else. So yeah, just Google my name. The first person pops up on LinkedIn, that's going to be me. And then yeah, happy, just connect. I'm going to accept it. Send me a message. Yeah, happy to chat more.
All right, I love it. And that brings me to the last part, which is the public service announcement. If you've been watching this episode and experiencing searing pains in your eyeballs and like migraine like symptoms, I'm confident it's due to the downright hideous subscribe button that's down there, and you can get rid of it for free. You just hit the thing and it goes. Okay, so here's the full disclosure. I want a lot of people to hit the button so that YouTube actually starts to pay for these videos instead of me. I think that would be amazing. The trade-off to you, just so we're clear, is that my videos may show up on your list of suggestions, but you can feel free to ignore those suggestions because I just appreciate the fact that you spent this time with me. Just like Naeem, I appreciate you joining me. This has been great.
No problem. Thank you for having me. It was great talking to you and your
Hey there.
viewers.
Are you interested in commercial real estate deals? Would you like to build your network of investors and deal sponsors? Well, the best thing I can do for you is have you appear on a chance encounter interview as featured on dandoesdeals.com. You may know me from 506B or as a top commercial real estate voice on LinkedIn. And if I had to think of the top factors in your success in commercial real estate, my top two would be your network and your ability to effectively explain how deals work with effective communication. The 15-minute chance encounter format, it checks both of those boxes, and they ensure that you can share your private deals with me without the SEC calling it a public solicitation. So hop onto LinkedIn. You can see my name is over here, Dan Friedenberg, and search for my name. And the best way to reach me and book that is to message me through LinkedIn. And don't worry, it doesn't matter if you decided to enter this space just last week or 2 weeks ago, or if it was decades ago. It'll be fun and easy to look good. We're just asking multiple choice questions based on your core competencies you look to contribute, your level of sophistication, and all that kind of stuff. So I hope to hear from you soon. Thanks a lot. 506B me. Any syndicators, make sure you 506B me.
Hi.
Oh, hey, yeah, here's my code. You got your QR code scanner? Okay, yeah, oh yeah, just hold it right in the square there. Okay, cool. And now you hit open in browser.
Okay.
Okay, are you already logged into 506B me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so there's my video. So now I'm already on your watch list. So when you get back to your hotel, you can find out what my core competencies are and my level of sophistication. Sound good?
Yeah.
I love your hat. Real estate's a scam. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you.
You too.
506B me, everybody.